dog. This is quite interesting story, and the blind dog, the title is completely opposite to the story, which is written by R.K. Narayan. Yes, R.K. Narayan is a very famous Indian author, writer, scholar. My dear students, we have already studied about it in the previous video. So now we will go towards the lesson. Before going to the lesson, I want to show you some new words which will appear in this lesson. First is culvert, a passage for waste water that passes under the road. A passage that passes under the road for a waste water. That is called as culvert. In the common sense, we call it as drench. Okay? Stirred. Here, attracted. Stirred in the sense here, attracted, my dear students. Scrouch. Here, someone who gives trouble. Scrouch in the sense, a person or an animal, whoever is troubling somebody else. Those people are called as scrouch. Okay? Leer, slay, and pleasant look. Leer in the sense, a very bad or ugly, unpleasant look which is given by a person to another person. Okay? Now, circumscribed. Circumscribed in the sense, kept within a narrow of limits. Yes? Kept within a narrow of limits means tied. A dog, a cat, when we are tying it, it will be having certain limits to move, right? That is called as circumscribed. Okay? Haunt. Familiar places. Haunt in the sense, we know that places. Quite familiar places. Orbit. Here, the restricted path. Orbit means the restricted path, the way. Okay? Lumber. Cause difficulty by giving unwanted responsibilities. When a person or anything is not capable of doing that particular job or thing, when we are giving them the responsibility, that is called as lumber. Okay? Haunches relieved. Bone back legs standing out. Haunches relieved in the sense, animals which are having the back leg bones, okay, with high pointed, those are called as haunches relieved. Okay, now let us come to the lesson. So before going to the lesson, there is a pre-reading task or a pre-reading activity. Okay, let us see that. A pre-reading task, listening and speaking. Read this passage at home before it is narrated to you in the class. Follow carefully your teaching's narration, then answer her questions. Okay? People love animals and keep them as pets. Take dog for example. Dogs are well fed, bathed, groomed and taken out for walks and rides. Their masters get them good medical care too. In the end, they are sometimes put to sleep to help them escape from the pangs of the death. There are also people who keep animals to make them work for them. They feed them well and keep them strong. Have you ever heard about SPCA? The Society for Prevention the Cruelty to Animals. It says we must not treat animals cruelly. In this story, some people help a poor mongrel to run away from the cruel master. But the poor thing comes back to him and falls into the clutches again. Yes. What happens here in the pre-reading activity? What they are asking for you? They are asking that, have you seen animals? Yes, we all see animals because they are with us. They are growing with us, right? And even we keep the pet animals also with us. Which are the pet animals do we keep with us? How do we take care of them? And how do they behave with us? Yes? Are they good? Are they strong? Yes? Yes, all animals are good and strong. Few keep them for their passion. Few of them keep them as for their work. Like huge big animals like buffaloes, cows and all, they are kept for the work. And they feed them well with the good food to keep them strong. Same in the sense, dog, cats, these all are pet animals kept for the passion. Okay? Have you ever heard about SPCA? SPCA is a society which prevents the cruelty of animals. If the human being is treating the animal very badly or with very cruel in nature with that particular animal, this society will take action against that particular person. Okay? In this lesson, what you are going to see, a dog, a small mongrel dog will be in the hands of blind man. Okay, let us see the lesson. Few people will make it to escape also, but that blind man will treat it very badly, very cruelly. Okay, at last also, even why the title is The Blind Dog. Let us see after reading the lesson. B. Reading. Read the story at home before it is read in the class. Follow carefully your teacher's model reading. Read the story at home to improve your reading ability. Yes, you have to read to improve your reading ability. First paragraph. It was not very impressive or high-class dog. It was one of those commonplace dogs one sees everywhere. Color of white and dust. Tail mutilated at a young age by God knows whom. Born in the street and breed on the earnings and garbages of the marketplace. He had spotty eyes and undistinguished carriage and needless pugnacity. Before he was 2 years old, he had earned the scars of 100 fights on his body. When he needed rest on hot afternoons, he lay curled under the culvert at the eastern gate of the market. In the evenings, he set out on his daily rounds, loafed in the surrounding streets and lanes, engaged himself in skirmishes, picked up edibles on the roadside, and was back at the market gate by nightfall. Yes, here it is the introduction to the dog. How is the dog? It is a white dog with some dust on his body. It has even not completed 2 years also. Before that, the dog has many scratches on the body. Okay. Obviously, the street dogs, they will fight together. They will fight and they will get the wounds on the body. Okay. But this dog has some qualities. What are the qualities? The color was white and dust. Tail was mutilated. Mutilated means curved. Okay. Tail was mutilated like a question mark. Okay. Don't know by whom it was mutilated. Maybe by the god. Okay. It was born on the street and breed on the earnings and the garbage of the marketplace. It grew up in the earnings and the marketplace and it have food there. Okay. He had spotty eyes, very beautiful eyes, and undistinguished carriage and needless pugnacity means no limits to do anything. It was free. Okay. As it was before 2 years, it has number of wounds on its body, and afternoons when he wanted to take rest in the hot sunny day, it would go to the culvert. Culvert in the sense I said a small passage of the wastewater which are made to flow. Okay. In the simple sense, drainages. Below the drainages, it used to go and it used to take rest. Okay. And even as usual in the evenings, it used to go for the rounds of the city. It was near the eastern gate of the city. Okay. And again, after his rounds finishes, it come back and sleep in the same passage. This life went on for 3 years. This life went on for 3 years. 3 years this dog was same. It was fully free and openly to do anything. And then occurred a change in his life. There got a change in his life. What was the change? A beggar, blind of both eyes, appeared at the marketplace. A beggar who was not having both the eyes appeared in that particular marketplace. An old woman led him up there early in the morning, seated him at the gate, and came up again at midday with some food, gathered his coins and took him home at night. Yes, what happened? By some woman, what she did, she saw him and she started to feed him. Feeding, giving food. Okay, she started to give him food morning and night. Okay, afternoon and night. Okay, whenever the beggar used to sit on the gate and beg for the pennies, the woman, she used to feed him. Okay, every night that blind man would go to that woman's house and take the food. So now coming to the third paragraph. The dog was sleeping nearby. He was stirred by the smell of the food. He got up, came out of his shelter and stood before the blind man, wagging his tail and gazing expectantly at the bowl. As he was eating his sparse meal, the blind man swept his arm about and asked, "Who is that?" At which the dog went up and licked his hand. The blind man stroked its coat gently from the tail to the ear and said, "What a beauty you are! Come with me." He threw a handful of food which the dog ate gratefully. Yes, in third paragraph what happened? The dog was sleeping in the culvert. Yes, as it was sleeping there, by getting the smell of the food, it went near to the blind man. It was stirred by the smell. Stirred in the sense attracted by the smell of the food. Okay. It went to the blind man and stood near the blind man, wagging its tail. How the tail will be shaking, right? It is called as wagging the tail. Okay. And he stood there gazing expectantly to the bowl. Gazing means watching the bowl, the food. Okay, food bowl. And as the blind man was eating spare meal, he really get the idea that somebody is standing there. Okay, he will put his arms on the dog and say, "Who is there?" The blind man will say. As the blind man will say that, the dog will start to lick his hand. Okay, the dog will start to lick the blind man's hand, and then the blind man will touch him from the tail to the ear, the whole body of the dog. How the blind people will identify that these are creatures? They don't have eyes, right? Their ears and their sense of touching. Once they touch something, they will keep them in mind. Sense the dog from tail to the ears of the dog, and he will say that, "Oh, you are such a wonderful creator. Come with me." He will say the dog, and he will put handful of food to the dog. that dog ate the food gratefully. Okay? It was perhaps an auspicious moment for starting a friendship. They met every day there, and the dog cut off much of its rambling to sit up beside the blind man and watch him receive alms morning to evening. In course of time, observing him, the dog understood that the passerby must give a coin, and whoever went away without dropping anything, the dog used to, by the dog, he tugged the edge of their clothes and pulled them back to the old man at the gate and let go only after drop in his bowl. Something is dropped in his bowl. Among those who was frequented, this place was a village urchin. Okay? Who had the mischief of a devil in him. He liked to tease the blind man by calling his name and by trying to pick up the coins in his bowl. The blind man helplessly shouted and cried and whirled his stuff. Yes. What happens here? The blind man put the food, handful of food, to the dog. The dog ate it gratefully. Right. After that, every day they used to meet at that particular place. Okay. But after a few days, they became friends. The dog started to sit beside the blind man. Yes. And he understood that whoever passes from the blind man, they had to draw something in the bowl. Okay. Or else, what would the dog do? The dog would go back to that particular person and pull the clothes of the particular person. Whoever not have dropped anything to the bowl, he would bring them back to the old man and not leave until they drop something into the bowl. Yes, the dog was so intelligent. Okay, and here it was a marketplace. It was a very familiar place for all. How we people are having a Sunday as a market day. Same in the sense, each and every place, one day will be situated for market. Right? Here what happens? Thursday was a marketplace. Let's see. Here, Urchin, a boy named Urchin, was the boy very cruel, very bad. He used to get happiness by teasing the old blind man. By teasing the old blind man, and even by calling him his names and taking coins from his bowl. He was a very cruel boy. Okay, what happens? See, on Thursdays, this boy appeared at the gate carrying on his head a basket loaded with cucumber or a plantain. Every Thursday afternoon, it was a crisis in the blind man's life, a seller of bright colored but doubtful perfumes with his wares mounted on a wheeled platform. A man who spread out cheap story books on a gunny sack. Another man who carried colored ribbons on an elaborate frame. These were the people who usually gathered under the same arch. On a Thursday, when the young man appeared at the eastern gate, one of them remarked, "Blind fellow, here comes your Scrooge." Scrooge in the sense, here someone who gives trouble. Okay, what happens? Every Thursday they used to meet. But every Thursday, along with the urchin, there were some other people. One was perfume vendor who was having colorful perfumes on a wheeled platform. And another person was selling the small story books for children in a gunny sack. Gunny sack means a gunny bag. Okay, and one more person was selling colorful ribbons, a very bright colorful ribbons. Okay, that these three persons along with the urchin came to that marketplace for the same area under the one arch. Arch in the sense one place, settled place to sell something. One of them will say, here comes your Scrooge. Scrooge, someone who gives trouble. The person will say that here comes your Scrooge. Scrooge in the sense urchin here. Okay.